Hello and welcome to Pickle's Garage, where I'm airing out my 2002 Jeep Grand Cherokee after a long rainy evening. Now, over the years, I've shown you different points where leaks come in with the roof rack, as well as different points around the door. But I have sort of the major one left to take off the list, and that is causing this big puddle right here. So I did actually get a rust hole, just because most of these issues haven't been addressed till now. So I've been chipping away at it, but I will show you where this came from, how to identify it on your own vehicle, and how to go ahead and repair it. Let's dive in. Now this issue stems from the sunroof actually, so if we come up here, you'll see it started to dry out already, but this is normally a puddle after rain, and there's a hole right here where my finger just went to, and that is where it is draining out, and where it drains is down the A-pillar. And so you'll see I'll have water right here down this A-pillar where the tube is supposed to be taking it out of the vehicle, and it's actually running down the A-arm itself, coming down here, leaking out of here typically, and then finally resting right here. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I can take off this A-pillar, and then we'll see if the tubing is damaged, and then we'll go ahead and fix it. Alright, so we're going to start off by removing this A-pillar cover here. We are probably going to need to go ahead and drop the sun visor as well, just to get a little bit more access up in, but for now we're just going to remove this A-pillar. So there's going to be a little plunger plug here, which you can usually get with like a screwdriver or something, and then there's going to be a screw in there, and I'll tell you the size right now, but it's going to be there, and then another one on the other side as well. So it is going to be a bit of a bolt in there, and the issue is it is going to unfortunately require a little bit of a specialty tool. So the size is a 7/32, but if you try and get that in, it doesn't actually reach it. So you need to do one of these. It comes in sets like this. Unfortunately, that is the way that you need to access it to get it removed, but just one on the top and one on the bottom will get those removed. And then here's what it looks like if it helps visualize, but once you get it removed, this whole thing is going to start coming down. So this was still hanging on here a little bit, so I'll just finish that up and get it pulled down. And then the rest is simple retaining clips, but like I said, it just pops out essentially, and that is going to give us access to what we're working on. Alright, I am constantly reminded that this was a very do-it-yourself vehicle prior to me owning it, which, I mean, I can't judge too much. I do a lot myself as well, but I do it the proper way, typically. I wanted to show you what it looks like at a factory. It was this, like, corrugated blue sort of pipe that went down, and the issue is it would get, aged, and it would just crack in your fingers, and it would literally just break apart. I'm hoping the other side looks like it, and if it does, I'll show it to you. But this is some sort of hodgepodge, like electrical tape, connection points. Like, I'm pretty sure this is what is leaking, is this connection point that they just use to put two of these plastic pipes together, and I'm sure it's just not holding anymore. I'll test it here. I'll throw some water through the sunroof, and I'll just see if I can see where it's leaking, but this is definitely not factory from what I can tell. And so let me see if I can tell where it's immediately leaking just from this. So let me get some water here. So hopefully with a little luck, you'll be able to see the water coming down here. There you go. So it looks like my issue is actually where the pipe is connecting. Probably shouldn't have done that much water. It took a little bit to actually start leaking, so I thought maybe it was running mostly down, but it's definitely the connection point up here. So now let's go ahead and remove our headliner so that we can see where it is faulty up there. Now to remove this, there's just going to be two Torx and then T20, Torx 20 size screws there, and then there's going to be just a regular Phillips right here. So we'll get those three removed. Now to give us a little bit more room, I took this tiny little Phillips screw out of this one, set that aside, and then there's also like a trim like this around the sunroof, and it's held on with a sort of clip right here, and it just pinches it. So all you have to do is you can use a tool like this and just sort of pry it out of the way, but that'll allow you to kind of walk this down and give us more access. Just walking it out little by little so we can get as much room as possible. So this, like I said, only had the one Phillips screw in the back, and then it just has these retaining clips. So you just kind of have to move your fingers up to this point on either side and just kind of rock it back and it will pop out. Just be careful, try not to break it. If you can reach it from this side to motivate it too, that works as well. And then it's got its own wires on it. I also removed this side Phillips hook. I might go ahead and take that off just because I'm going to have to go to the other side anyways, and then we'll see if I need to touch the B-pillar, but right now it's coming pretty low, so let me see if I can show you what we're working with. Alright, so that was enough to get it. Basically, I just had to push this B-pillar plastic in as much as I can and just walk this around it, and then that gave me the drop. And that brings us to our Pickles Garage Presents There's Your Problem. There isn't even a pipe on it whatsoever. So I don't know, someone genuinely went through the effort of removing it because there's no remnant of the piping. This other pipe that I thought was related to it and was just someone's aftermarket attempt is actually related to something further in the back of the vehicle. But they genuinely just removed it and then never replaced it. So I imagine it's the same on both sides, which means every time it rains, water pools up here, and then it just floods into my headliner. So someone is a savage for that, but we're going to go ahead and fix it. And moving to the passenger side, this is what you're more likely to see than my hilarious event of just not even having anything. But you can see the corrugated bit right here, and then there is full gaps where it's trying to be wireless, but basically, as you can see, it just breaks apart, it gets super brittle. So that is what you're more likely to see than my situation, and I'm going to have to replace both of these naturally. So here you go, this is the part I got. It's a Mopar part. It was $19.87 off Rock Auto. The one thing that you will notice is it says power sunroof front left. You can't really find like left to right. Everything usually just goes with the driver's side, so I'm not sure if there's confusion on some models only having one or the other, but I just bought two and I was able to easily use it on both sides. Alright, the part has arrived, so because you're more likely to have the situation I have on the passenger side, I'll finish the repair on this side just so you can see what it should look like. I'm trying very hard not to break all these off, but anytime I touch them, they just fall apart. So I'll try to show you how you can accurately remove it from the top without it completely falling apart, but I'll show you where it also connects at the bottom. So naturally it's going through the dashboard, it's coming down this way, and then it should be in a port down there. So you need to remove this panel, which is just kind of friction held in. You don't have to do anything too major. I might get a tool just to make it a little easier on myself. These interior kind of pry tools just make it a little bit easier, but this is just a two-handed affair, so let me grab this real quick. So it's just going to be clips like this, and you just have to try and pull it straight up. And then this piece is going to be held on, this kick panel here is going to be held on with some screws. So we have Phillips, that one's missing, Phillips there, we'll get those removed right now too. And then with those two removed, there's also going to be just an internal thing right here. And this you should just be able to pry just straight out, but it's just going to be holding onto it just so you know what's catching right now. So it actually just pulled around the outside, but normally that's what that would be. So you can unthread it, but it's pretty weak plastic. So you just get a star and you just unthread it. And then there you go. That's the other side of it. So that is the plunger that's going into the frame. This should be in a little bit better shape. It doesn't get cooked as much. So I'll just pull this straight out, and then we just have to follow it, which comes up back here and up through the dash. So let's get this old one removed entirely. So it's going to be a little hard to tell that you got it all just because it's so brittle that it just kind of breaks in chunks, but you just have to kind of trace your hand back here, sort of grab and break it off until you get everything. And then the plunger itself actually literally just goes in this hole, and then it drains out what looks like on the frame, which isn't ideal, but I'm not an engineer for Jeep. So this is the plug kind of grommet, and all you have to do is just kind of take the fingernail, pop it, and then walk it out. But this is also pretty brittle, just not as you can see where the real plastic starts. So that is out of the way. So let's grab our new one and we'll start feeding it through. But first, actually, let me show you where it connects to the very top and how that's connected. Also to note, your new one is going to come with new attachment things. You can just kind of grab these and pull them out. There's special tools, which I'll show you here in a moment. But once again, going back towards the roof here, you just have to peel this back and you'll see that it just has a fitting around it and it should be friction held. So sorry, it looks like my finger slipped and I paused the video, but it was just friction held. You just have to grab it and pull it all the way back. So for our new one, the bottom piece is a little bigger than this piece. So we're just going to take it and snake it up this direction and then just plug it back in at the very top. But right now I'm just going to go ahead and get these removed like I had mentioned, and I'll show you some of the tools that you can use for that. So you can use something like this, you just have to kind of levy it up, but this one's my favorite. It's just handheld, you just squeeze it and it just pops it out. So if we get it lined up here, like that, pops them straight out. So I'm going to get all these removed so that we can put in our new one. So our new one should be a lot stronger than our old one naturally. Some people have just used a completely different tube, like clear plastic tube instead, and so it's completely an option. I just wanted all of these, and I wanted the actual grommet at the bottom. But you are still going to want to be careful with it because obviously you see how bad it can get. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some paracord, and I'm going to feed it down through, and then I'll tie that to the top of this, and that's what I'll use to kind of guide in pulling this up, and that way I'm not like putting a lot of pressure on it by trying to shove it up that direction. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Alright, so without taking apart the whole dash, getting the kind of direction of the new one is a little bit difficult. Basically, it goes straight down this way, and then right around here it hooks inward, and then it goes down along this way behind this right here, at least for the passenger side. I'll show you the driver's side as well. I took off this panel. I don't know if it was 100% necessary, but I was able to get my hand up in here and sort of guide the last kind of corner, because like I said, it's like right around here where it starts to go inward and then straight down. And so I used one of these cheap cameras that you can get online. You just connect to your phone, and basically that showed me the corners that I was going around, and then I was able to kind of sift it through. And so what I'll do is I'll attach paracord to this, attach paracord to the other side of this, and then I'll go ahead and paracord, I just mean this, just string. So I can tie it to this, and as I pull it down through, paracord will go through, and that will pull my new tubing through as well. So that is what I'm working on. I do think if you basically put like a socket, this is what my initial plan was, and just tie it to the end of the paracord, you could kind of drop it down. It's just you have to kind of find that hole that's inward around here and kind of push it through, and then it should drop the rest of the way. But it was too difficult at the time, and it's hot out here, so I went with this plan. So this worked. I'm gonna go ahead, like I said, pull it through, and then we'll finish the connection. Okay, so I have my paracord pulled down through, like I said, attached it to the camera, and now I'm attaching it to this. So put a knot up here, that way this stays in line, because if you just tie it down here, it's just gonna kind of pull it at a weird angle and you're going to hit things. So trying to keep it as straight as possible. Like I said, it's going to kind of come up and curve towards you, and then it's going to kind of dogleg to the right, and then it'll go back straight up. So you'll have a pretty easy time getting to about here, and then that's when you're going to start running into things. But let's go ahead and pull it through. And there you go. So properly pulled through. So a lot of people are going to choose different things. Obviously, you could take apart the entire dash, which I wouldn't recommend. Some people are going to use just plastic tubes from Home Depot, in which case you could probably peel back some of this molding and just shove it just behind view. But if you want to do it as I did it, to kind of take it down the original route, then that is the easiest method that I've found so far. So naturally, I took all of these retaining clips off first. So I will plug this at the top, we'll plug this at the bottom, see where it naturally lays, and then I'll put all of these into place, and then I will start reassembling everything. Obviously, it's just the reverse of what you did to take it all apart. I'll show you a brief way of doing the driver's side, just in case you're only doing that one. That way you have both, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up. So that just friction holds in place. You just have to press it in. There's going to be a clip up towards here that you clip into. Like I said, I'll go ahead and reset all these ones, and then we come around to the bottom, and then you can see this is just going to press in here, and then I'm going to use probably like a screwdriver just to open the edges a little bit, get it pressed in, and then we'll push this flush. And now let's go to the driver's side. All right, so this one was really easy. I did see, so there's this black tube, and I really wanted to follow where that one went down, but I went with my camera multiple times and it looked crazy tight. Like, I really don't think you can get this in that area. So what I'm gonna do is basically I just pushed it up this direction, and then on this end I'm going to feed it back kind of along these wires back in there, and then I'm still going to have it behind and end up running along this way, and then the plug is right around this location. So I didn't love that idea. I really wanted to put it behind this metal plate just so it was a little bit further away from the wires, but if you think about it, when this fails, and mine has been failing for years now, the water goes down this way and drops right down here anyways. So I don't think it's that big of a deal, but you could struggle with it if you want to. It's just basically it goes down to here, and then it hooks hard that way, goes inboard along the firewall and comes straight down. And I couldn't get this to fit through that opening. So like I said, drop down here. If you've never taken this apart, by the way, it's really easy. It's similar to the other one. You're just going to do one screw here. Well, I guess that ends what makes it similar. So one screw here, and then there's 2 1/2-inch bolts, 1, 2 right around here, and then there's this black plate right here. It's just friction held. You just grab it, lift it up. It's not screwed or anything, and then you're going to look down in this direction, and this is where the hole was. 1 screw on this side, 1 screw on the other side, and then there will be a piece over here that's kind of friction held, and that will take out this bottom piece. That'll give you access to this. I'm going to do the exact same thing I did on the other side, where I'm removing this and this plate, so I won't show you that again, but that's just going to allow me to kind of more snugly and securely put it down under the carpet. So I'll go ahead and end here. Naturally, I have to get my headliner all back in, but it's just the reverse of what you've done. I don't want to make this a 40-minute video, so thank you very much for watching. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.